RAGT24 with Lori Wilde, who has my heart because she loves animals. She's got this amazing, huge, how much property do you have?
It's 20 acres. It's not
20?
huge.
But what it is. It looks vast.
Yeah.
And you have cows and you have Chuck the donkey.
Yeah, Chuck the donkey.
Who else? What else do you have there?
I have chickens. I have 3 dogs, a cat. I don't know how many fish are still there in my husband's aquarium. And we have a turtle named Donatella. But it's Donatella because we thought it was a boy, but
yeah, so you had to fix it.
Yeah. She's so fun when my husband comes, gets up in the morning. She didn't do it for me, but my husband gets up in the morning, she sees him, she just jumps off her rocks and starts splashing like,
oh, really? Oh, she's so excited to see him.
Yeah, with me, she's like, oh.
Does Chuck do that when you go out?
Oh, Chuck.
Chuck is such a sweetheart.
If he's across the pasture and you just walk to the gate, he's like there. Yeah.
I absolutely love Chuck. You know, I have that feral cat that I feed, Stash, and everyone loves him. That's how I feel about Chuck.
Yeah.
I love the cows, too. They're longhorns, right?
They're longhorns, yeah.
I think that they're fascinating. I love all the critters, but Chuck, there's something special about Chuck.
There is something special about Chuck.
Have you ever written him into a book?
Yeah, I have. He's going to be in another one coming out, too. So.
Oh, good. So he's a reoccurring character.
He's a reoccurring character. Sometimes he has different names. And one, his name is Antonio Barrendon.
You had to change his name to protect his identity. Yeah.
Instead of Anthony Banderas, it's Anthony Bender Ass.
Bander Ass. That's cute. I like that. That's very clever. Only a writer would come up with that. So that's really cool. So that book's coming up soon, or?
Yeah, it's coming out in next. When are these books?
I know, it's hard to keep track.
Next fall.
Next fall.
Mm-hmm.
So you also have like an action adventure series you're doing too, right? Or was it already done?
It's the 4 books have been out in the series. Okay. It was the Joan Wilder Effect, the Thomas Crown Effect, the Las Vegas Effect, and the Mummy Effect.
I loved your covers on those. Those were amazing.
Yeah, I have been really lucky. I have a great cover artist.
That helps. Yeah.
She gets me and she gets the brand, and so.
So does she do? Because you're still traditionally published too, and
I'm hybrid. I'm doing self-publishing and traditional.
So are you usually content with the covers you get for your traditionally published books?
Some of them.
Yeah, that's often we're a little, because we don't get to tell them exactly what we want. They do what they think has mass appeal.
And sometimes it's got to go by the sales department, and the sales department a lot of times are 25-year-old guys.
Yeah. And so this is what everybody likes, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, what sells? Okay, if that's, I have to trust you on that.
Yeah,
this cover this cover here on this one.
This is your Christmas book. This
is my Christmas book. I told them exactly what to put on here. I said I wanted the banner. and they did exactly what I asked. So I'm super proud of this one. And this one hit the New York Times. So
very good, very awesome. So show us the other cover too. Your cowboy. While you got your books out.
Okay. Well, I do basically cowboy books, Christmas books, and women's fiction. So those are the 3 genres I do. And now action adventure.
So that keeps you busy, right? Because you're here, there, everywhere.
Yeah. But
oh,
you have them. You've got copies.
Very nice. I love those covers.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like an Indiana Jones, but modern and younger.
Yeah.
I
was going to actually call this Indiana Jones Effect and then realized it was trademarked and I didn't want to.
Oh, so yeah, you couldn't do that. Yeah. But you could tell people, I was going to call it that, and then it'll go around on social media, right? So I asked readers for questions for you, and one of the questions was, tell us about the premise behind the Road Trip Rendezvous series and why the titles are connected to movies.
Well, because they're kind of a little bit over the top, wacky, kind of rollicking adventures. And I came up with a Joan Wilder Effect because I wanted to put people in mind of what kind of book it was. So I came up with the Joan Wilder Effect. And then in the Las Vegas Effect, there's a movie, the Oscars are in here, so there's a movie connection. So I just continued with the others.
So it was like the theme you had going with it. Do you come up with your own titles for everything?
Mostly, and now I do. Now when I wrote for Harlequin
like to
put the titles. But with HarperCollins, they take what I send them. I'm nice. okay, I guess I've been around long enough. I kind of know what,
I
titles
suck
sell.
at titling, so I don't even try. They wouldn't want me to.
Oh.
I leave it to them. I always go just by a hero's name. So whatever my hero's name is, that's what I title it for working title. I'm always so impressed with people that can title their own books.
Yeah.
Because you always have really nice titles that are catchy and they...
Well, sometimes I've just done guys too. Like with the independent stuff, I just use the guy's name and that sounds good too.
It works, yeah. Whatever makes it so they know what the book is.
Right,
you know?
right. So it's about the stew.
How many books are you doing like a year now?
That's a complicated question.
It seems like you're really busy. I mean, just
Yeah.
me looking on social media and seeing you. You know?
Because I'm doing the independent stuff and I also do books with other people.
Oh, I didn't know that. Do you? Like anthologies, you mean? Or
No, like with other writers that I feel like could need a boost.
Mhm.
That I work with them. They'll do the first draft and then I edit them. And
Very nice.
So,
That's very generous.
well. It pays off for both of us.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I'm sort of acting like a publisher, but not really because I don't want to do that. I just want to help people that
Mm-hmm.
are intimidated by self-publishing or can't get a foothold. And
It's a really, really tough business, 1,000 times more so now than it ever was in some ways
yeah,
and easier in other ways.
it is. It is. 'Cause remember back in the olden days when you had to go over the transom and you were put in a closet for a year and then they finally got out the old manuscripts. And so you send in a book and it may not get published for 3 or 4 years after.
Yeah. You had to
send it
snail
in.
mail it in. 3, 6, 9 months would pass and you wouldn't even hear from anyone to know if they'd seen it.
I know. And I remember the first time when I saw my first one, I knew I was close to selling. And I called them up and I said, I sent a manuscript in a year ago. And they go, oh, yes, Lori, you know what my name was then.
Yeah.
You're on the senior editor's desk. And I was like, oh.
I know. And it's like, could somebody have told me this?
Yeah, but I mean, here it was like waiting almost a year. And then finally I was like, am I bothering anyone?
What year did you first sell?
94.
So you were a few years ahead of me. I was 96.
Mm-hmm.
And our phones back then in the Stone Age, you had an answering machine.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no call waiting. So I wouldn't let my kids use a phone because I was afraid I'd get the call and miss it, you know. Get off the phone, walk up to your friend's house and talk. You don't need to be on the phone. It was such a different time. It was almost more exciting in some ways.
It was.
You know. And readers didn't know authors very well. So I remember going to a conference and I got on an elevator. An author, I was not published yet. I had no idea who she was, but her badge said author. And I was like, an author, you know, and she was super nice. But now we're just like fall leaves.
Yes.
We're everywhere. Not that you want people to idolize you, but, you know, it was just such a different mindset back then.
Yeah, because you didn't ever really get to meet authors unless you went to a conference.
There was no social media.
No, it was all.
Yeah. I'm so old. I remember those old days, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So in some ways, do you think it's obviously being a bestseller, it's easier in that you're established, but the producing the books, is it harder now or easier for you as far as coming up with your ideas and what you're going to do and executing
hard.
them?
It's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's still hard. I'm more, you know like what's going to work or not. Like, so I don't get rejected anymore because I've done enough research and taught enough and learned enough that I'm not going to send them something I know is not going to sell.
Right.
Because they could still reject me. I just don't send them something that's...
You know who you are and what they want from you, and so you use that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, now that I think about it, I haven't been rejected in quite some time.
That was a brutal experience. I remember it well. Yeah. You know, one of the weird things was I remember when I sold my first book and then I thought, okay, now I'll sell the next one. And then the next one got rejected 2 or 3 times before I sold the second one. Did you go through that or did you sell and then sell and then sell?
I did sell my second one, and then I went through a couple where they like, no, this isn't working. Once again, waiting 9 months to find out that it's not working. Yeah, because in the beginning, you're not really sure what you're doing. You know, you're trying, but yeah. What became clear to me early on was that I had to speed up. My first book took 18 months. My second book took 17 months. My third book took 72 days.
Wow.
Because I figured if I was going to make a loan at this, I had to speed up.
So how long does it take you to write a women's fiction book now?
About 3 months total, because you have to come up with the idea, do the plotting, first draft, and then I clean it up before I send it in. I heard you talking to Jen yesterday, and you said you just pretty well send in your.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with people that can do a first draft, and then I get so bored so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So if I plotted it out, then I would feel like I was done.
Yeah.
I like to get surprised along the way. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I love that everyone has their own way of doing it. It absolutely fascinates me. Talking to Nancy Nagel, how she writes plots or scenes out of order and then pieces them together. I would get so confused I wouldn't know what I was doing, but it clearly works for her.
I can do that. I have done that, like when I was having to write 6 books a year, and it's like, I got to hop ahead because I'm stuck on this scene and I can't be stuck on this scene for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I would hop ahead. So I learned how to do that. And now when I can revise, I can take a section here, move it down here, and see how it goes better.
I think that's amazing.
But the problem is sometimes you leave those little details and you forgot to drag those along with the scene.
Yeah.
And your editor's like, well, wait a minute. If she was here, how could she be there? And you're like, oh, yeah, you're supposed to catch that.
Yeah. That's your job as the editor to fix that for me. Yeah. That's wild. Do you use, I know an author friend who uses the Dragon Speak to write her books. Have you ever done that?
I've done that. And it does make it faster. You can write, by speaking it, you can get double the amount of daily word count, but then it's so messed up, you have to fix it. You waste all the time fixing it. So it kind of just depends on if I'm in a mood to walk around, I'll dictate. But
you have done it before?
Yeah, I just feel more comfortable. I feel like I'm working, and I don't work on a laptop, and I don't work in the lounger. I work at my office at my,
computer. PC, yeah.
And that's when I feel like I'm working.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes when I get blocked there, I will maybe go outside and see if I can get some mojo going.
Yeah.
But
change the scenery.
Yeah.
So I work on my same thing. If I was really pressed for a deadline, I could work on my laptop, but I like to be in my office, door closed so the cats aren't climbing on my computer, and working on I have double monitors, and that's what works for me.
Now, see, that's what I need. I need something to keep the cat out because it's just one big room.
Yeah.
And she lives up there, and she's like, nope.
Yeah. I had 5 cats when we first moved into the house we're in, and they got old like I did. And so we've lost 3 of them. So we still have 2. And if you're there, they one in your lap and then one up on your shoulder and then one across the desk, and they'll lay on your keyboard, and I'm like, I love you guys, but go away for now. This is work time.
I have a little maraca that I shake that she doesn't like. She runs.
The maraca's going to get you.
I got to get this page done. You're going to get down.
Yeah, because it's really hard. Like, you love them, but you have to work.
Well, and it's a cat, so they're going to know when you don't want them. That's when they're going to come.
They're going to be more determined. I have one cat that wants to be petted hard endlessly. Like, we got one, you can kind of give him a little bit of this, and he's like, okay, I'm good. And the other one is like, pet me hard, keep petting me hard, and it's like, stop, go away. That's Happy Cat, if anyone wonders. Happy Cat's like, I need this really firm, show your love to me kind of thing. And Alan's like, I'm going to show you some love. Well, though we would never actually. So have you ever put any other animals in your books that are your animals?
Yeah, my dogs. I love mini Australian Shepherds. I think they call them something else now.
Those are like really, really smart, aren't they?
They are super smart. Yeah. I have my smartest one. I mean, her eyes look human.
I feel bad for the one that's not the smartest one. Just automatically, I feel bad for that.
But the not smartest one, she's the cute one.
Oh, okay, good.
She's the one that's...
Yeah, so she makes up for it. Yeah.
But the smart one, she'll watch the TV monitor for the cameras, and if somebody comes in the yard that doesn't belong there, she will tell you.
Let you know?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. And you have plenty of acreage, so nobody should be coming in your yard that shouldn't be there.
No. A lot of Amazon deliveries.
Yeah, I know, me too. That's another thing. Do you remember when if you got a package delivery, it was a big deal?
Oh, yeah.
And now it's like, I don't remember what I bought.
I know. My husband's going, you got something coming, what did you buy? And I was like, I don't know, go look at my order.
Yeah, open it and see what it is, because I don't remember.
Yeah, he cares about it. It's getting delivered or what, but I'm like, it'll be here when it's here.
When we had our house built, I thought about putting one of those things out at the street where they would drop a package in. And then I thought, I won't remember it. There'll be stuff out there for, because like I said, I don't remember what I ordered. It's just you see stuff. When you read, do you read in print or do you read digital or audio?
Okay, I'm primarily audio for enjoyment because it's the only way I can not like, oh my gosh, they're so much better than me, or I'm so much better than them.
Yeah.
You know? I get those two mindsets and I don't like to go either one of those places. So audiobook breaks that so that I'm not trying to write or, trying to take notes from their stuff. But if I'm reading actually to do that on purpose, like to read another author and say, well, how do they handle that scene? How
to be analytical with it. Yeah.
Analytical, I'll read. But I own 1,000 books on ebooks, and probably I've read about 15% of them.
Yeah. It's so addictive when once I have my Kindle now, and it's so easy to go, oh, that one sounds good. And, and then I see the next one that looks really good. I start on that one. So.
And then, these days I'm reading more and more nonfiction because I get plot ideas from nonfiction, that.
So who are some of your favorite authors?
Fiction?
Either. It doesn't matter. Whatever you think you're most interested in right now.
Well, nonfiction, I hop around all over the place. There's not just one author. It's more topic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I read all different kinds of genres. I don't just read romance because I want to like steal techniques from other genres.
Well, it's like a learning experience.
Right,
so, yeah.
Right. Well, my favorite book of all time is Lonesome Dove, Larry McMurtry. Yeah, really.
That was made into a movie, wasn't it?
It was a TV series.
Yeah, something. I knew it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 900-page book, and I read it like 2 days.
Really? Wow.
But, him being from Texas, I'm sure there's probably some natural bias towards his work.
Yeah. Well, depending on when things were written. So I can still read really old books and just enjoy them for
what they were at the time.
Yeah. Right. I try not to go to those places where I'm judging too much, because you can just get into it. That was the amazing thing with the fire we had here. I was so worried about how people would react, and everyone has reacted so amazingly. Yeah. They were just so nice about it.
Yeah.
Nobody was judging who did what or where, except that we all know that the fire started in our audio guy's, Don's room. And so he's going to smack me. So we made a point of saying it was a bathroom light, not anything he did. We'll keep telling that story for him so he doesn't get in trouble. No, that is what happened,
Well, my husband said, it wasn't your birthday cake, all the candles?
Yeah. Well, and I heard some people say, was somebody's book a little too hot? There's been a lot of good jokes, but the firefighters were amazing.
Yeah.
They did such an awesome job. They were so professional. They tried to protect things when they went into the rooms because the sprinklers, right? Mm-hmm. They were trying to put things away to make sure they didn't get ruined. They were just really awesome.
Yeah, it's nice because they have the calm,
demeanors to them. They were just...
So, we got it, no worries. So they kept everything nice and...
Someone might have been Christy, said, you realize you're at a conference with like 400 romance author women. And they were just like, whatever. We've done this before. Yeah. Maybe not here, but we've done this before. Yeah. So it was really nice. I in no way want to go write a firefighter book because of this, but everybody's saying they do. Does that inspire you, things like that?
I get inspiration from everything, and you never know where it's going to go.
Where it comes from, yeah.
But I like to write about stuff I know something about or am interested in learning about. Yeah. And so don't know anything about firefighting. Yeah. And it's not like a blazing interest of mine. Yeah. So, if I came up with a great concept, then I would go do the research, but it's not just something that's particularly gnawing at me.
Just because firefighters were here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's me. I never know where I'm going to get inspiration from, but when it hits, then I know it's it. So when you're writing, do you always have like the next book and maybe even the third book, a kernel of an idea in your head before
I usually know like at least a log line kind of thing, what it's going to be, but I don't really, until I start to write it, I don't really know who the people are. And so when I first start writing, it's always slower because I'll write about 5 pages a day until I get to know them because I don't know who they are yet.
Yeah. Until you get it figured out.
Yeah. And I'm like you with plotting in the fact that I don't want to know too much because I do want, because most of the time something surprising does show up. Like, it wasn't in this book, but it was a series. I had this mom and she has a little 6-year-old girl and I didn't realize the child was in a wheelchair till the character got out, opened the trunk and took out a wheelchair and I went, oh, she's in a wheelchair?
Right. Yeah. That's what's part of the fun, I think. If we're really surprised by what happens with the characters, it's almost like we're watching a movie inside our own head as it's unfolding. So like you kind of know when you go to the movies, you know if it's a murder mystery or it's an action flick, but you don't really know what's going to happen until it happens.
Yeah,
So-
and that's actually the really fun part is when that. And I found out that a lot of times your brain, your subconscious has set stuff up, and it's kind of your conscious mind's job to go back and find those spots and bring them out.
That's fun. I think you and I have a similar writing pattern, it sounds like. Finally, someone who writes. So I'm not just the odd duck out there with my winging it.
I do have a little, like, the plot points, like, but it'll be something like, at this point, something has to happen that shows her XYZ. So I don't know what that thing is yet.
Yeah.
But I have a, where it's going to happen.
Keep you on track. Yeah. Are you good at, because I'm not, how, like if it's an 85,000 word book, are you good at pacing that out so you're ending at 85,000 or does it?
I am now. I didn't know. I wasn't always.
I'm getting worse. I'll have to talk to you later as to how you're doing that.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with rushing the ending. I think that's one of my weaknesses as a writer that I want to try to work on. And I'll read other authors and I'll notice they'll start building up to the climax way sooner than I do.
Yeah.
So I've tried to learn okay, I need to, because I'm thinking I need all this space and maybe I just need to develop the back end more than, sticking more stuff in the middle.
I get towards the end and I would say they all died. I'm done. Because it's just so I know what you mean. You get to the end and we're done. Yeah,
I know, you're
happy.
this happened. And the pacing does pick up at the end because
it does. Because you're pulling all the little pieces together.
And the readers have already know most of this stuff, so you don't need to keep repeating it. So it does speed up, but sometimes I think I need to slow it down a little more.
I think your writing's amazing. But I know what you mean. We're our own worst critics and we're always trying to make ourselves better, right?
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't want to get stagnant.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up and what is your next one out or the newest out?
Okay, the one I don't have any out this year.
I don't either. See, I'm telling you, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
Love Shack's it and then I'm done for the year.
Yeah, that's why I'm working on
She has to be my new best friend.
So. That's why I'm working all these other, other avenues so I can have more books out.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really excited about the series that's coming out. It's a brand new series and it's called Hobby Island. And the lady that runs the island, she wanted to build a place for healing for people in the community, and they do crafts, and people come to the island not knowing they need healing necessarily, but finding healing there anyway. Of just being among a community and doing crafts and things.
Will it be
together.
romance? Will it be any romance?
It's
in it or
women's
not?
fiction,
Women's
but
fiction?
there is a romantic thread. But I feel like it's more like the hero is her reward for going on this emotional journey towards healing. That he's like, hey, I'm here when you're all healed.
Yeah. Once you get it together,
I'm over here waiting. So in fact, the editor goes, well, I think you should give him some problems. And I said, no, he's not. This isn't a romance. This is women's fiction, and he is her reward for having healed.
And it isn't about him; it's about her and what she's going through. I get it. Yeah,
I did mention that he had some stuff, but he's already cleared it up. So he's been on the island a while, so he's good.
That sounds amazing. So that's out next year.
Yeah, and it's got a teenager in it, which I had to tone her down because she stole the show.
Oh, don't you love that when that happens though? When you got one character just really does it.
Yeah, she just really, really did. And the editor goes, it feels like a YA. I think you're good. I said, you may take her point of view out. And she goes, oh, no, she's good. Just tone her down. Take her Well, I didn't have to tone her down. I just had to pull scenes out, combine scenes so that she didn't get as many scenes.
So she wasn't as
because she chewed up the scenery.
It sounds really good to me, but now I'm curious. I have a question for you. You're one of those multi-talented people that if you weren't so nice, people could hate because you're so good to animals, and then you're a really good writer, but you're also a painter and a crafter and all these things. Will any of that be in the book that you were just talking about? Any of the crafts that you know how to do? Yeah.
Well, the first one's about quilt, which I don't know how to quilt, but my grandmother were big quilters, and I still have a bunch of my grandmother's quilts that she made, handmade.
How special.
So the next one's going to have knitting, and I do know how to knit a little bit. I learned. Yeah. Oh, and my sun catchers.
Yeah, I know, because you make beautiful sun catchers.
Yeah. Well, I invented one called the storyteller sun catcher.
Oh, that's I like that.
Yeah, because you start with the 3 beads, and it's like the beginning. Then there's the bigger middle with the beads, and at the end the beads repeat. So it's like a
Yeah.
story.
You post those pictures and they're so darn pretty. I'm like, gosh, she's just multi-talented because you paint too, right?
Yeah, but I don't paint to be good. I just paint
But it's
for creative release.
well, I'd hate to see if you're trying to be good.
Yeah, I don't.
It's really good.
I'm not trying to be good. I'm just because I don't want any judgment with it. I just.
Well, my only judgment is going to be that I think what you've shown is amazing.
No, I'm just. I want it to be a free space where I can do whatever I want. And if it's crappy, who cares?
Yeah. Well, you're extremely multi-talented. I'm very impressed. Whether you need me to be impressed or not,
Oh, well.
I'm still very impressed.
Well, in the end, part of it is like my own mental health journey. These things help me keep myself wound tight.
Yeah.
Or wound loose, whichever is preferable.
These days we have to try harder to stay peaceful, I think.
Yes.
I think the world needs more of everybody just being kind and peaceful and understanding. And, I love people that do that, so.
I think you and I have talked a bit about this on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, what I admire about you is that you know who you are and you know where you stand.
I don't like me sometimes. People will write me nice notes and I'll tell Alan, God, if they really knew me. I try to be peaceful and nice, but then if I'm gonna bitch and complain, I do it to Alan. I try to keep it private, not
right. Yeah, because there's when you put it out in the public and you're just like letting off steam, people can take it and run with it in all these different directions, and you create a chain reaction that you did not intend.
Exactly. And I have a love-hate with social media for that reason.
Yeah.
Do you remember the days when people kept most of their lives private and you would just tell a few things, and now it's like they want to tell everything and keep very little private.
Yeah.
And God bless people who feel like that's what they want to do. I'm not judging them. I just like a little privacy.
And I think younger generations that grew up with it, that's just expected.
It's their bread and butter. Yeah.
They don't, I mean, hey, you can make a living by being silly.
Yeah.
But you have to have the mental emotional fortitude to be able to handle when they start throwing eggs at you.
See, that's the thing. I feel like maybe they haven't learned to process inwardly yet. And later in life, that might be a problem,
Yeah. But everybody's got to go on their journey. You can't do it for them.
That's the wonderful thing. And I think we all got to let them do their journey and just try to be peaceful. And I was joking about not being a nice person. I am.
I knew you were.
I am. I just never feel as nice as people think I am. So. Oh, well. Well, thank you so much. You are amazing. I love your books. I love your artwork. I love your animals. And the dream catchers sun catchers are amazing. Thank you for being here this year.
Thank you, Lori.
What a way to come back, right? With a fire and all.
I love it. It's perfect.
All right. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.